Miles Reid, welcome to In the Naad. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Taylor, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
So you are the founder of the Energy Life Science Institute, which brings ancient wisdom where ancient wisdom meets modern science.
Yes.
As I was just telling you, I know very little about you, but you're part of my community, the Kundalini community, and I've heard from several people that your story is fascinating. So why don't we start there? Let's start with your story.
Yeah, definitely. Anything you want to know. And you know, talking about Kundalini, something interesting is that my apprenticeship in the shamanism was very insular in a way. I only did that very deeply for a long time. So I wasn't that much in contact with other traditions. And then I kind of came in contact with the Kundalini tradition.
Through Laura?
Through Laura,
right.
Yes. And so I'm kind of like saying, okay, let's go to a class. So I arrived to a class, and the moment I walk into the class, I see that there was a studio called Rama, and there was a small section of books for sale. Just maybe 10 books. That was
And you saw Castaneda.
It was the Guru Jagat's book.
Guru Jagat was...
And then right next to it was not only a Castaneda's book, but was the book where my photos are in there, showing the...
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it's the only book where there's photos of people. There's me and one more of the students, and we were showing these movements that he was teaching us. So I took it as a
sign that you were in the right place.
I was like, oh, wow. And then the next step is I stand in line, and I'm going to get the ticket to take the class. And so I arrived to my place, and so I say, they ask me the name, and I say Miles Reid, and then he says, "Oh, welcome. You have." I said, "No, but it's my first time." No. You have a package here. You have a full package of classes on your name. No, but so there was mysteriously, I was not only welcomed by the Omen, but also there was spontaneously a full cycle of classes on my name, waiting for me.
Right. As you know, we like to think of these as signs.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
these are
for me,
signs.
that was the.
And I will add that Guru Jagat would often talk about the Castaneda books. I mean, it was something that she studied and was very
I learned about that afterwards, that she was doing that.
And if you look at some of the practices, they're not that different from ours. Letting go of the past, breaking out of the walls that we create for ourselves. I guess you call them it's sort of I don't know what you call them, but they're like a consensus hallucination, like breaking out of this, Yes. So I think that, look, when you have a spiritual practice, you find that oftentimes they're very aligned, overlap each other, right? This is the way it works. That's why you can leave one and easily fall into another.
Absolutely.
As long as they're pure.
Even the movements themselves, which my apprenticeship was very embedded with learning a big vocabulary of energy movements, or passes. The Kundalini practices,
movement.
The way the syntax is used in terms of describing moving energy in different ways and connecting to the stars in different ways, that's very similar to...
Right, and this is a shamanic practice, right?
Yes, yeah. It's a shamanism that comes from Mesoamerica. So it's a shamanism from the Americas.
Is it Toltec, primarily?
It is I would say the patrimony is... Now there's a new consensus in terms of anthropology and sociology that is kind of unifying Mesoamerica as a Mesoamerican culture, a pan-Mesoamerican culture that includes the Maya, the Toltecs, the Teotihuacanos, a variety of different, kingdoms and nations in Mesoamerica and Central America. And this tradition comes from that milieu. It's often referred to as a Toltec tradition, even though for Castaneda, Toltec was not necessarily reflecting a particular type of people from a region, but it's more like a way of life. Right? So a yogi would be, for example, a yogi is a way of life.
A way of
right?
life.
Yeah. So a Toltec tradition in that sense. But the area, Teotihuacan as an important center of culture in Mesoamerica, from where different currents, because Teotihuacan it's actually a site that is very similar to Giza in Egypt has gigantic
it's thinking pyramids.
Gigantic, 3 of them.
This place of geomancy.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All the construction in Mesoamerica was done in relationship to alignments of stars.
Alignment of stars.
Always, yeah. Big. All the life was ruled by this relationship between the bigger forces. So.
Latitude and longitude as well?
All of it.
Yeah, all of it.
It's precise measurement.
Exactly.
It's sometimes phenomena that happens once
this
every
ancient
26
technology,
years,
right.
and then there's an alignment, and
It's incredible.
Exactly, yeah. So
it's
they would have a very
sophisticated
astronomy, and also not just the knowledge of it, but that knowledge informed their life, their way of living. So it was a pragmatic knowledge. It was incorporated into day to day. So they lived in that awareness of relationship, like most natural cultures in the world.
Right, but
shamanism actually comes from, I believe it's Siberia originally, the term, and it refers to the medicine men from that region. But all cultures in the world had their own medicine men that, in a way, interfaced with people as a bridge to the above and below. So shamanism now is referred to any culture that has that stance of, being, human, the human experience in the middle of above and below. And actually, I'm also a Chinese medical doctor, and in the essence of Taoism is also between heaven and earth. It's man between heaven and earth. So it's also shamanistic in origin.
So was it your spiritual practice, your shamanism, that brought you into the medical arena, or was it the other way around?
They were 2 parallel things.
Were you always a seeker?
That's an interesting point. I think that, in my case, I had an experience, a moment where my teacher would say, where spirit came or descended, or sometimes he would say, a moment where we met the spirit, right? And I think that is, I would say the gift of having that experience, because then everything changes.
Can I ask you what that experience was?
Yeah, I definitely will share it. And what I meant to say is that what changes is because then suddenly you have a spiritual context, and then everything then has that context. And then you develop a relationship with that context. Spirit, God, nature, higher intelligence, etc. And that, I think, for the world today is so important. So we don't get lost in all the data.
No, I think people are grasping for it. And I think that I was just going to say, what a blessing that you got that tap on the shoulder. Yeah. Because there's so many of us that are out there seeking, looking for that. It's a way of directing us. It's a way of taking our spiritual consciousness and funneling it to something that we understand or that we can turn into productivity.
Yeah. I think it starts with the idea that it is there. And so even if I didn't have that experience, didn't come to me without the idea that it's available, then I will seek it. And so
harder to know it's there.
Yeah.
You can't. You don't know it exists until you know it exists.
Yeah.
Unless it's completely faith-based.
I was 15, right? I was 15. I was in high school, and I was just like one of the cool kids, having fun, playing sports. My parents were scientists. I didn't really
Argentine? You're Argentine.
I was raised in Argentina.
Okay.
But I was born in the U.S.
Got it.
So my family moved there when I was a kid, and I grew up there. I was in high school there. And so I was a very logical kid, and, I have a very happy life, but didn't really have a spiritual context at all. My parents were not from... My mother was Jew, but she wasn't a practicing Jew. My father was Catholic. Neither one practiced. So I'm here in this class, and there was a sub-teacher because the teacher was sick, and we were like 50. It was a big class. So I was in the back with all the guys having fun, and as long as the sub-teacher wouldn't stop things, I would just continue making fun. And then there was this guy comes in. He was a biology sub. And so he comes into the room, and then he sits in the front desk, and we all continue having fun. And then 10 minutes later into the class, he hadn't started the class. And I look at him from the back. I see that he's.
It's all good. It's happened.
I see that he's just talking to the two people in the front desk, and they were very interested in what he was saying. So I caught my attention, and I became curious. What might they be talking about? But nothing happened. But then an interesting phenomenon happened. In a matter of seconds, as I was looking, the two students that were interested in talking to him became 4, 8, 10, and then like fire, there was like a wave of silence that overtook the 50 kids in the classroom, and then everybody was quiet, and the guy just kept talking, low level, and then I could hear what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about biology. He was talking about spirit. He was telling us that there was a spiritual context, and we can meet the spirit, and we can find it through meditating. And it was all new information. I had never heard of that.
So it was gripping for the children.
It was like, and so I went after the class, and I went to him, and I said, I want to know more. What? So he invited me to his house, and we became friends. And then he taught me, for example, we would sit on his kitchen table, and we would look at each other's eyes, and he would just not talk. And I had never looked at anybody's eyes. I always looked at the mouth when people talked. I felt very shy.
Well, there's a discomfort in having that kind of intense
contact.
It's too exposing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I didn't have anything to hold on to for that. So I learned through looking at his eyes that there was a whole world of spirit behind the eyes. And so when I saw that, everything changed. Yeah. Then I wanted to learn everything. So I developed for a few years, like on one hand I had a very traditional medical, there was very traditional school, very formal. At that time, you couldn't even talk about the word energy. It was absolutely not welcomed in that circle. So, but I was interested, I was studying on my own, Buddhism and yoga and Chinese, even shamanism. But at the time, there wasn't really courses you could take. Michael Herner was one I was.
You had to learn with a teacher directly by your teacher.
There was no specific way to do it, but so I was essentially forging a medical career, and I finished my residency in Argentina, and I actually decided to do a specialty, a master's in Ayurvedic medicine, because I had been to India. I had traveled quite a lot. And so I decided to make this master's, and I signed up, did all the paperwork, and I actually returned to the United States to go to India. And I was about to, the next day I was flying to New York and to India for 2 years. And that something happened which was an impossible outcome, which was that life pulled me in a way and entrusted me in meeting Castaneda. And the same day that I met him, which was the day before I was leaving for India, he took me in.
How old are you at this point?
I'm in my early 30s.
Oh, okay, you're grown up. So we went from 15 to 30 pretty quickly.
Well, I went through all my periods of, I went into this pre-sciences, medical school, residency. I did a very unusual kind of medical school because twice I paused and I went to backpack around the world for 2 years. So I did a 4 years world backpacking experience in between medical school.
Really?
So it was a really learning about the world and the natural, beautiful planet that we live.
Which is the absolute key to having universal knowledge. I mean, this is how you really grow. This is the kind of doctor you want. This is who you really want looking at. Into you.
Yeah. For me, that was it. And then I had been in India for 6 months doing those travels, so I had fallen in love with India. I thought I was going to just follow that track. But I always loved Castaneda. I always read his books since I was 15, since I met this. One of the first things I did after I found the eyes in this teacher was I came across the books of Castaneda. In fact, he mentioned to me to read them. So, but there was no way to study it. See? You had to make it up on your own because his books were not instruction manuals.
So this is before the family has become, before the Castaneda family was formed, or had he already formed sort of that big family?
No, he hadn't.
So were you there for the beginning?
I became one of his direct apprentices. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So there was a very traditional way in which the tradition was passed along, generation to generation.
Is it the way that Don Juan passed it on to him? Similar?
Yes. Yeah. The only thing is that when Castaneda's time became to be the leader of this group, they called it the Nagual.
Right.
There was already clear that the lineage was not going to continue with him. And so he was given the task by his teacher to decide what to do, how to close it, how to close the lineage. And his decision was to open it up. Because Taylor, this tradition was secret all through history.
No, I understand.
Until this moment, until Castaneda. His decision to how to close it with, okay, instead of dying with it, I'm going to open it and then make it a set of principles for everybody. Anybody who had the desire could then step in. And then I think that's where I see the most important value, because this is a complete set of principles for
Can we
life.
talk about, I want to talk about those principles, because I actually think that those principles are the foundation of a lot of mystical teachings.
Absolutely.
So I think that are there 4 or 5 principles? I mean, it's
Oh no! We talk about the 4 agreements.
No. I'm talking about the ego eradication, which is funny because we have ego eradicator practice in Kundalini.
Yeah.
But it was sort of the eradication of ego, that reality doesn't exist. Are these the fundamentals of it, or am I wrong? And so,
well, I don't think we could list it, in a certain sequence the principles, because it's been a didactic organization of the knowledge. It was you learned it as you lived it, right? But certainly there were principles, and
I think a big one is that reality doesn't exist as we perceive it, right? It's a consensus of hallucination, meaning that all of us, in our uniformity and our construct of reality, have created what we believe is reality, but it's not really so. Is that
yeah?
correct?
The way it is in essence correct. Yeah, the way in my apprenticeship it was described, that principle is it is our internal dialogue that constructs the reality.
Correct.
So the key was to it's essentially a perceptual investigation of the self. How is my lens of perception construed? Because first comes my lens of perception, then comes the thought and the language to describe it. And the language and the thought is what anchors reality. Once I name it, I describe it, then my brain consolidates that reality. In quantum physics, we say that once the observer locks in the position of observation, then from the possibilities that reality could have, one of them coalesces into reality. So,
were you able to actually change your perception of self?
Yeah. The remaking of the self. See, my name, Miles Reid, is not my birth name. It's my dreamt name.
Oh, right. You do a lot of dream work as well, right?
So it's a remaking. For example, I in some cases, in his direct apprentices, if a name will come from infinity, how we call it,
right? Or
then
source, or
yes,
right?
yeah. He would be like he would receive information from source, let's say, in the form of letters. So how he described it, there was a wall, like an empty wall, and so he would have daily appointments with infinity where he sat in front of the wall, and then the wall, it was either empty, or if infinity was talking to him, words began to appear like in a blackboard, like in a board, and so he would read them. So, and in fact, sometimes he will, at the beginning when I was on stage and teaching his work, and he would have me give talks at the beginning, they were all written by him, in my early stages.
Right.
And so he would dictate to me every single word, and sometimes he will have me, okay, I'm going to do a lecture in 2 months in this place, and I knew the title, and I didn't know any content, and I would ask him, Nawal, I called him Nawal as one would call Swami or teacher's statement, deferment, I would ask him, is there any information about the talk? He said, nothing is in the wall. Nothing is coming. It's empty. But wait, because he always comes at the last minute, and maybe the day before the talk was due to happen.
Right, so the teaching comes from similar to the golden chain.
It comes in the last moment.
Right, it's almost channeling.
Yeah, so then he would like maybe call me in the hotel room and say, okay, the wall is are you ready? Sometimes he would call you at 3 a.m, and then he will dictate the entire talk. And if I would say, what was that? Let me scroll up, he would say. And then he will, I found it. And then he will dictate.
Wow.
Exactly.
So they were downloads.
They were downloads with punctuation, with a separate paragraph. It was like if he was dictating a book, he was reading it, right? So, when I began to teach on stage, I didn't really understand fully the material. I was myself learning it, but I was entrusted into that place of teaching. I didn't know I was going to be teaching, and then there was a workshop. It was over 1,000 people in Mexico, and I had gone there just to look. He said, "Just come and take a look how we do things." And then the night before, he calls me and he talks to me about for a while, and he says, "Okay, tomorrow I want you to get on stage and you lead the session." And so, I had to with no training whatsoever, suddenly became a public figure. And from that point on, I began to teach all on the workshops. So it was something that I never planned it ever. I never planned to have a public life or a public position or.
When you got here today, you said, I rarely do this kind of speaking on podcasts. And what did you mean by that? Because for someone in your position, you would think that it would be a natural progression.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of speaking about his work, but usually in the context of teaching a workshop or a class. So there's a theme, and I'm going around a theme, and then of course in elucidating the theme, I may bring some anecdotes about my teacher. But to have a dedicated podcast, for example, where I was just speaking about my experiences with him, it has to be.
Oh no! This is going to lead into your current practice and what you're doing and how that.
Yeah, that's fine because now I combine everything, and so it's.
I'm sure you do.
All
You
together,
couldn't live the kind of life you had and not brought your practice into your medical world and into your healing. I'm sure that a lot of your healing techniques have a lot to do with what you learned while you were with Castaneda.
Yeah, I have three
pillars
avenues.
of your three
There's
avenues.
the Western medicine. There's the complementary, because I do functional medicine and Chinese medicine, and then there's a shamanism, and all three are converging. And I think for the world of today, the principles from the shamanistic track. The shamanism that I learned was very particular. It wasn't like the one we are more used to associating with. We had to do with drumming circles, enter into trance states, and so forth. There was no ritual.
Oh, interesting. I thought shamanism was primarily based on ritualism.
Yes, the ritual historically has been a component of shamanism because it's the way in which you can grab the attention of the participant. And once the attention is grabbed, then you can guide them to change the perception. But you need to hook them. So the ritual helps to hook. In my teacher's teacher, his teacher generation, stripped
Now this
off
is Don Juan.
Don Juan. He stripped off ritual, a lot of it from the tradition up to that point, and then became more abstract in its essence. And my teacher took that and then added that he stripped off the secrecy of it.
It's so abstract that there's a large portion of the world that don't even believe he existed. I mean, we have to address that, right? He's almost, to some people, he's a mythical character.
Yeah. It's so interesting because
Nothing matters.
Myth and reality.
There you go.
That's it. So myth is a tangible, legit structure of perception.
Absolutely.
So we can enter into a myth. In fact, I would say that what Castaneda would always write himself was that when he began to study, he realized that he couldn't come at it as an intellectual as he was. He had to step into a new cognitive system. and understand the rules and behaviors of that system from within. So that's kind of entering into a myth. You know, you live the myth.
No, I love that you're saying this, because I feel that they're all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is myth, right? Again, it's a construct. What is the reality? I guess if it's his reality, and if he's learning these lessons, they're coming from something.
Yeah. Well, if the myth but gives you is a cohesion of perception, so
it makes it more tangible.
It gives you the bearings of how to come into a new perceptual framework, and then be able to move, to navigate, to exist, and to perform, to be functional.
Had you ever asked Castaneda if Don Juan existed, or this was not something that you would discuss? And
there were so many things that people ask me about my teacher, and I was like, what? It never occurred to me to ask. Like,
I believe that.
Things like how old he was, where was he born. I mean, people like to know the data, right? But data was absolutely non-important in my experience with him.
Because that wasn't shaping your ideas.
It was meaningless.
It was meaningless. It's so much bigger. It's much more of a universal learning and intelligence, and it's way more about that than the specifics of his personality.
It's also like when we are using data, see, data has associated perceptual elements to it. If I for example, if I say, how old are you? I'm 40, I'm 60, I'm 70. That statement has already a whole lens of perception associated with what one should be able to do or not do at that age. So it already blocks it.
I was just saying to Alan, I will never tell my age when people ask me, not because I feel old, but because I don't want to be locked into that space and time. I'm my essence. Yeah. And if you will determine what you think my essence is to you. To each person, it has different meaning.
Yeah.
And it's incalculable.
Yes.
Those are years. That's data.
Working with the syntax, what words we use, that was huge. And it is huge for me.
Language is a really...
So important. The words we use, they have a whole personal history around them. Right?
And there's never enough words to really explain the full, to embody what we're really saying.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to use poetry, and you have to use...
music, frequency. It's
and language that is open-ended. For example, for my teacher...
I agree with you completely.
This, like, either or, the syntax of this or that relentlessly was,
You mean because it's limiting?
Absolutely.
Right, of course.
Because our perceptual capacity is and. We can be in two places at once. We can, welcome contradictory elements.
Of course, we are. We're a
you,
bundle of contradictions.
Yes.
Can you go back a second? I'm gonna stop you and ask you to explain. We can be at two places at once.
Yeah. Well,
because I agree.
Yeah.
But
so
I want to hear.
Let's say that the new science of consciousness tells us that consciousness is non-local in
quantum
nature, right?
entanglement and stuff.
Yeah, it's not local. So I can do something here that has an effect there instantaneously, right? And
Absolutely.
I can be, but also perceptually, I can be here, and I can be at the same time in another place, and I can functionally live or be in both places. For example, something as simple as having let's say you and I are having a conversation, and there's all this physical reality here that matters. This technology, we're talking, the time of the day, we're aware of the time, so we're functioning, right, in this physical reality. At the same time, for example, my training is to be sensing and observing the energetic framework, right? So I'm like, since I walked in, I'm a part of me is paying attention to the energy. Your energy, our energy, the energy of the place, the space. So I'm in two places. I'm in this place in physical form, and
But you're also the observer of this place.
I'm also observing and sensing the energy aspect, which is another reality. But it is like augmented reality. Augmented reality is a great... I'm so excited about that.
This is why we talk about the 10-body system.
Yes, exactly.
Do you understand?
Yes.
The ethereal body, the pranic body, the auric field. These are all dimensions of our, human
and
embodiment.
perceptually, we can be in more than one, either at the same time or back and forth. Let's take a
You're talking about jumping timelines.
jumping realities, jumping bodies. You can be in your physical body and your ethereal body. You can have a sense of both at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or you can jump back and forth if you need to. Right? The same thing with the brain. So we have the two hemispheres. There's two worlds, right? So men, we are a little more sequentially because we have a thin corpus callosum, so the info doesn't go so smooth like in women. So it's easier for women to be in two places at once or multiple places at once. Men are more like
less linear. We're less linear.
Yes,
right.
you can function in several things happening cross-referencing,
which is why we're better multitaskers.
You're better equipped in general.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think that's this whole new language that I'm not so sure. I think we're really very similar in so many ways.
We're complementary.
We're complementary.
We have within ourselves. We are also the same complementary forces exist. We have. We have men and we have estrogen.
I think it just matters how we balance those elements differently.
Yes.
Right? We just balance them. But I don't think it's a male-female thing generally. I think it's a human.
Yeah.
It's an individual.
And, mostly why I say it is because, first off, Castaneda was really a trailblazer because already in the 90s, he was absolutely for women's liberation. He actually, what he told me was that the human beings, we were kind of like at an impasse in evolution. We had maximized, and the only way to continue the journey was that women had to claim their rightful power and be at par with men.
Well, as the creators, yes. We are so powerful, and we have to learn how to embrace it.
Which I haven't seen in other traditions. There's a singular difference that is meaningful in women and men.
Oh, what is that?
The womb.
Right.
The womb.
So again, creation.
The womb, creation, but also in the shamanism that I learned, each organ has a primary function and a secondary function. The womb's primary function is reproduction.
It's reproduction.
Obviously. But the secondary function is direct perception. So for the cognition of this system, women's womb, they call it the perceiver box. And I haven't seen this in my traditions.
I haven't seen this either. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so the perceiver box is like an apparatus that women have that allows them to directly receive information from sources.
So it's I understand. So we do have it in Kundalini, but I think we put it into the mind. It's not into the womb. So we receive signals, right? And then we can turn the channel and tune into whatever signal we feel strongly.
Yeah.
So it's a honing device, and then what we receive, we transmute, and we get it, put it out into the our airwaves. We're broadcasting. We broadcast. Yeah. We receive, and then we broadcast.
I think that in terms of the apparatus, both men and women can, through the mind, through consciousness,
but this is
receive and all that, and then women have this additional built-in. Direct, it's like it's like a red line. Boom.
So interesting.
Direct, no thought or whatever. It has nothing to do with the mental process of information.
So how is it different?
It's direct.
Got it.
It's a knowing.
Is it a gut instinct? Is this why we talk about the gut?
Gut.
Is it?
Would be kind of, but gut would be a little higher here. Would be solar plexus. So gut is more in relation to understanding how the energies with society, with other people. And how to maneuver, and the gut is more like social.
More instinct?
Instinct would be the fact that it's not thought, right? It just appears. So instinct would be it bypasses the cognitive,
the mind.
Yeah, the aspect
the cognition.
The aspect of thinking process and deduction and all that. So intuition would be something that it bypasses that, right? But the gut feeling has to do more with, in my experience, in my practice, right? More with how we relate intuitively, but with the world around us in terms of people, society. It's like a social intercourse.
Interesting.
But the womb is like a direct knowing of facts with no explanation needed, no introduction. It's just an isness.
So it's the knowing.
It's the knowing. The women just, boom, they know, and they have an organ that gives them the capacity to download direct knowing. Now, the thing is then, what do they do with it?
It makes sense.
Do they claim it?
Exactly.
My teacher will always say it's such a travesty because women have this incredible,
And what does he
they
think
don't
we
claim
did?
it.
Did he think we gave it away?
The
Or we just didn't
socialization,
learn how
the
to...
socialization turns us, and both men and women,
Of
right?
course.
That's the thing. He would say, Caballero, look what they've done to you, They meaning society, right? The process of socialization narrows us, confines us, right? So women have been then, nobody has told a woman, you have a womb, you can directly sense things. Nobody told them that. And if they have an intuition, they dismiss it in the old male-dominated world, right? But historically, socialization hasn't favored women to claim their knowledge. So therefore, they just didn't claim it because they didn't know they could, or that they had the possibility, right? So a lot of it is, kind of turning backward the socialization and creating a model for ourselves that is more open-ended. That's why there's a practice that is called a recapitulation that is
This is when you get rid of your past?
Well, you go to the past and it's time travel. You travel to moments in the past.
I see.
And you reinsert yourself. It's not an account of the memory.
Is it experiential? You have to relive it?
That's the key thing.
Right.
You have to send your mind, your awareness, your consciousness back in time to that place, and you have to insert yourself in the place. It's like, sometimes I describe...
So this is similar to the experience, I believe, and you don't have to agree, and many people don't, but I believe that this is sort of how psychedelics work. We actually... So these trauma experiences are sort of embedded in our DNA, right? And they become a part of who we are.
Yeah.
So in this moment, we actually relive those experiences, which is why they can be so scary.
Yeah.
And once you relive it, you're able to free yourself. It dislodges itself, and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's literally no longer a part of what you're carrying with you. Is it similar to that, or is it more like clearing your auric field?
No, there's many layers to it. There's a complexity to it. So once you go back and you relive it, then the fact that there's the built-in opportunity to come at it differently. So that's the first new element, right? Because what happens is that
so it's your perception of it change. You change your perception of it.
You change many things, including your perception.
Okay,
absolutely. But one of the things that happens is that when we live the first time something, most of the times we are more in reaction than we are in fully presence, right? So we say things we didn't mean.
Because we'd live it differently if we were...
We're triggered by something they said that...
The auto response.
And so we are like, then we don't hear what they say, so we miss things, we misinterpret things.
Living in reactive state.
So then, and then what happens that experience then is stored first in a recent memory bank. Essentially, we it's very interesting how the brain works with memory.
Oh, we're constantly in war fog.
Yeah, well, the first thing is when we have an experience, there's like a storage in a hippocampus, in a place that has to do with it's in review, let's say. So you're kind of like in the days after, it's editable, but...
it's totally editable.
And then at a moment that there's not enough, there's nobody's raising the hand and objecting, you go, okay, this is the reality. You have an interpretation, a belief about it, and then boom, it goes into long-term storage, right? And there is going to absolutely inform, because we know now that the brain, when we expose to something, the brain instantaneously pretty much
this is so good.
Goes back to, what do I know? Because the brain is, now we see it as a predictive machine, right? It's always trying, in fact, the brain is always a little bit in the future. It's always trying to determine what's the next thing going to happen. And then, based on the hypothesis, it rallies
it's offensive.
All the thing to be prepared, right?
So that it can be prepared.
And then the moment arrives, and then it correlates. Did we mess up? Did we target it? And then we make new adjustments. But the meaning of what, the assessment of what this might mean is very heavily conditioned by those long-term
past experiences,
memories.
those long-term
memories. They give me the beliefs or misbeliefs. And then I'm going to be... Something comes and I go, oh, this looks like that. So I already have a belief, a position, and a lens.
Yeah, you've already determined it before the actual.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, what I'm looking for is just confirmation of the hypothesis. I'm not really open. Because see, to be open requires energy. Because if you think of it, the brain is always looking for cutting corners because it's looking for the most energy efficient way. So if I have to consider many possibilities, it takes a lot of glucose. The brain consumes the biggest organ of consumption of glucose. The brain and the diaphragm, the breathing. So we always, more open thinking requires more energy. So if I say a little thing or something and then immediately I make a belief of what that means, it saves me, right? So it's efficient in terms of energy expenditures. But that's why high awareness takes energy, takes practice, because it's a higher level of entropy. So that's why in my learning from Castaneda, everything was about energy. If you have energy available, you can do all kinds of things if you're directed. But if you don't have the energy, even if you have the intention, you don't have flight.
So is it about creating energy within or preserving energy within?
It's about reorganizing.
Reorganizing.
So because most of our energy gets dispersed and misused. We have it, but it's not really well used. So it's, in the conception energetically for this tradition, we have like an luminous sphere around the physicality, right? So there's a arm's length, a bubble of energy, right? So me is not just the skin end, but it's the bubble, right? So I can sense things around me, and it's part of me, right? So energy, there's not only in my organs, but it could be within my luminosity, right? So I can have energy either well stored in my luminosity or dispersed, and I can't quite use it. A lot of the movements that I learned was to actually take energy and reorganize it and bring it into your organs so you can use it. Right?
Is this a breath work? How is this done?
Breath and movements and intention. So, for example, there could be an energy pass that is, I have to, I do a movement like this where I'm moving energy, and then I use my peripheral view to see if I can catch a flicker of energy around me, and then I grab it and I tear it and I place it. So it'll be like,
wow.
Yeah, and I can do a jump. So I am actually, it's a gesture. My gesture and my intention is aligned with the gesture of I'm finding energy, I'm grabbing it, and I'm bringing it to where it can be active. Right? So,
and how do you reorganize the memories, the memory bank of the past? So you were telling us that you have to go into the past, and it's an experiential situation. So how do you do that?
Well, I mean,
I
sometimes explain it as four steps.
Okay.
So we have the first step is you have to set the scene. So I'm gonna recapitulate. My first day of class when I felt so bad and things didn't work out, and I left there and I don't want to go back, and I always think of it and I feel contracted. So there's an experience that leaves me in contraction and not feeling good enough with myself, etc. Right? And that's all stored. And sometimes those experiences actually create injuries in your luminosity. Sometimes it's an emotional injury or it's a constraint, but you carry that, right? So the first step
it's a burden on that.
Yeah, my consciousness, whenever it connects to it or something like it that subconsciously is being connected, I'm going to bring all that same plate. Not feel good, lack of confidence, tight muscles, contract. So because I'm bringing the reality again, right? So the first thing is, the step is I choose what I'm going to go and relive, right? And to reorganize. So let's say it was this experience. So I set the scene. Step one is to set the scene. Like let's say you're sitting in a movie, right? So you look at the movie.
Oh, I get a set and setting.
Yeah, so you get all the details you can as an observer, right? But in the first row, really, really there.
So a lot of imagery is required for this.
Imagery and kind of like, imagery and words, and so that's the first step. It's just the situation, right? And then you are just, you're not really reliving it yet, you are observing it. Because the first thing is, like I told you, the first time we had the experience, we missed out a lot of things. So the first thing is, wow, I didn't realize this, or, oh yeah, I said that, I totally triggered her. Yeah. So you see a lot just by observing, without the reaction, right? The step two is then, you kind of like jump into the screen and you enter the movie. And then you are the actor. So you're no longer observing it, it's happening. I'm in it, right? Once I'm in it, in the step 2, then you find the emotions. Where was I triggered? Where was I pissed off? Where was I like elevated, right? Because it could be good or bad, right? I mean, you enter into the emotional world because the energy is in the emotion. It's trapped in the emotion. And the emotion is trapped in the syntax that you described about the event, and the syntax and the emotion lock in the misbelief or the belief. So you have to like uncork all the systems. So you have to first then, once you are reliving it and you touch in the emotions, then you begin to do the breath work at that point. And you then at that, now we are working the energy.
Got it.
I'm in it. I already have a very good observation view, because see, that's the thing. I'm in it. I'm reliving it, but there's one new element that wasn't present in the first time. My consciousness of now is there, telling me, seeing things, connecting things. I'm not so in it. I'm observing.
You're able
that
to
is
be
me.
the observer.
So then I get, I begin to work with the emotions, and that's where I go. For example, if something like really hurt me, and I'm breathing it and I'm releasing it. So that's one thing you can do. Clear.
It's the
clear,
pranayama,
clear, and then you emphasize the exhalation when you clear.
Right, because that's the getting rid of.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
that's where
And
you're throwing it away.
There's a whole thing about that. Then it could be that this memory actually
And this is called recapitulation.
is a
Right.
technique, specific technique.
It's fantastic. It really is. It's resonating with me on such an
it's
incredible
so
level.
amazing. It's just an amazing technique.
This is really resonating with me.
It's an amazing technique. Then what could happen is that you're reliving the memory, right? And then you're in the emotion of feeling less. And then what happens? Because see, the brain is a subsequent set of memories that reinforce the priors in a particular misbelief, right? So then what happens? Very often you hook another scene that happened prior to that one where you felt the same way.
Wow.
And maybe it was more origination. Like,
So you're starting to see
you begin
the sequence.
to see the sequence of how the misbelief was assembled.
Wow.
At that point, you can do two things. You can either put a bookmark, say, wow, that other thing is big. Let me come to it tomorrow. And you finish it up. Or let me go. So you can then hop through time in different scenes. And then you'll be clean up further backwards.
So I have to assume that the understanding of this sort of led you to your practice right now, because this is obviously how disease is formed within us, and this is obviously right. This is
in my patients all the time. What is the perceptual lens? I mean, sometimes when I ask my teacher, like he would describe what he was teaching us, and there are very different terminologies. Like he would say, for example, I'm teaching you the art of attention. That was the way he described all his teachings. The art of attention.
It seems like the books focus a lot on attention.
Attention is the key.
And presence,
Attention is the key. Where I focus the attention, the energy is going to go right behind it. And then whatever syntax I'm using, see, that's the thing. The art of attention is not just a quality of attention, but it's also the description of the lens that's being seen. So that's why the inner dialogue, the narrator, it's all about the narrator.
Of course.
What are we saying here about that, what's happening, is the thing. Not what's happening.
It's interesting because I would say that of everything I have to work on in my life, we're talking about it right now. My inner dialogue, my narrator, my histrionic beliefs. Like, this is very powerful. I would assume that this work was really transformational.
It was so all in that there was no place for anything else. I would say that if I had a talent at the time that helped me to enter into this incredible experience that I had living with him, is that I understood immediately that I had to drop resistance.
You said resistance.
Drop the resistance.
Of course. Yeah. That I would say is the number one teaching.
I was, like you called it, it was energetically available 100%. So that I'm not encountering what's coming with a priori.
Now, is this incorporated with your patients? Do you incorporate this belief system?
All of it. I live it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, of course, I'm still learning, right? As I go, I crossed the 30 years threshold, so I can say, okay. My teacher would say, you need 30 years to master anything, at least. So now I can.
But he actually never mastered, did he? I mean, he did, but the whole story behind it is, right, he didn't ever make mastery because I guess ego is still there, right?
For him?
Yeah. Is that part of the folklore or the mythology?
I think he was pretty without ego. You know, the man. I mean, he would get angry, but I've seen the Dalai Lama get angry.
Of course. I mean,
this
is a human incarnation.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to think
that. It will immediately.
I mean, how boring would a world of people without emotion be?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, as a woman, if you don't embrace your anger, you don't embrace your power.
You know,
right? These are all elemental.
Yeah.
Like anger's
You wanna be a
fire.
human being.
Right? Of course. And we need to have these elements alive within us.
I was watching a panel recently. And there was a very well-known guru in the panel. I won't name; it's not important. But they were talking about emotions, and he says, "Oh yeah, I don't get angry. I haven't gotten angry in the last maybe 10 years. Is it?" And I'm thinking, I don't believe you.
It's like the ones that don't get sad when their children are dead. It makes no sense to me. I mean, this is not what we're trying to achieve anyway, is it?
Yeah. But I think working deliberately with our lens of perception,
of course,
is extraordinarily
and lack
critical.
of resistance.
Critical, because that's he also once described it. He said, I asked him, "What are you doing with me? What is this that we're learning?" He says, "I'm teaching you the art of perception," and that made sense to me. I think another definition he told me once, it's the art of maintaining a state of awe.
Oh,
that's what I'm teaching you.
That's interesting.
How to create the conditions within your perception that you are in awe.
That's beautiful.
And it's the most difficult thing to remake yourself every time to be in awe, because we are, and I learned that, I can describe it as a doctor, because I've learned that biologically we are designed to habituate. Our organism is one of habituation. So you expose
you get used to it.
You get used to it. You expose it, and then you get it has to do with energy conservation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to think curiosity was the key, but when you say awe, it's actually
higher.
It's higher.
It's higher. It includes curiosity.
Higher.
It includes curiosity,
Oh,
but it has also
it has the
divine.
It's the divine.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I need to do a dive.
Yeah.
I think, Guru Jagat used to really push it on us. And I remember reading the first book and thinking it was slow for me.
It's very slow. It's boring.
It's so boring. But now I'm reading. It's also a meditation.
He was a PhD candidate trying to extract information from a herbalist in Mexico, and
I was looking for something fascinating, but it was really there. I have to go back.
Yeah. Forget about the first book. Just go about
the Islanta one.
No. Go to the last book. Go look at the years and go to the last 5.
Okay.
Skip the first 10.
I'm going to start that maybe because this is really calling to me.
Himself, he got it more because he's writing as he's learning. So his first book, he knew nothing.
Now listen to me.
But 30 years later, he knew a lot.
This is fab. Right, exactly, because it was a learning experience for him. We're on the journey with him.
Exactly.
We're on the journey. So Laura doesn't kill me. I want to talk a little bit about your practice.
Yeah.
And just sort of talk to me about walk me through how you work with your patients, because again, integrative medicine is
it's a very broad umbrella. So
so will people come to you for everything from emotional
there's
to
all kinds?
Okay.
Yeah. I never get bored with it because I work in a variety. I mean, I do all the way from like functional lab testing and assessments.
Do you
of
do
labs.
that?
Yeah.
I'm actually looking for a functional medicine doc.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. And then maybe it could be like a spiritual
So the blood
counseling.
testing, you do the blood testing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
I do regular labs and functional labs. So So it could be very medical, but always then I will want to bring in the mindset. How are you thinking?
Because this is how you heal.
How are you thinking about
Right.
yourself and life in this moment? It is pertinent to how your body's symptoms are. It's absolutely.
It's also better than medicine.
But you know something, people don't even connect that. They don't connect how their life experience is absolutely being reflected in the symptom. And the symptom is based on that. So how we emotionally and thinking about our life is feeding that symptomatology.
Of course.
Right? Of course. So
And
integration.
changing the thought process is how you actually get. Otherwise, you just get. Otherwise, you're just prescribing medications.
Another thing that I do a lot that is surprisingly very, very insidious is the disconnect between the thinking and the body. We still are totally disconnected, even though we
Are we talking about? Well, so I'm a big believer that the mind connected to the heart through the vagus nerve. I feel like so many people have shut off their vagus nerve. So they're either
Yeah, it's an
operating from
expression
this
of it.
operating system or this,
Yeah,
right?
cut here the neck.
So again, learning how to connect inside and learning how to get this system working as a whole, where they're not cut off from each other.
And that the body or any organ or any symptom is not the enemy. Is actually trying to do the best
And
thing,
has the
but it
ability to
can't.
do it if you allow it.
Or if you give it,
We're
the
built to heal
resources.
ourselves.
Because a lot of the thinking that my patients have, I think it's a reflection of society, is I have a symptom that is bugging me, like my knee, for example, and I can't run and I can't do my life, so they begin to get frustrated with the knee. And then they separate themselves from the knee. The knee is the problem. It's not letting me do my life. If the knee would be fine, I could do this, I could do the run, I could be. So therefore, is this separation from the knee. And so I'm always trying to actually reunite that the knee is part of the person and that the knee is also wanting to get better. So if we are, the knee needs supporters. It doesn't need, judgment and criticism. So if we are ourselves criticizing our own body, who's the ally?
So now you're talking about the dialogue again.
Exactly. We need to dialogue with the organs.
That's so
Dialogue and being all with our attention. I do a lot of bringing the mind to different organs and being there, listening, receiving information, expressing support. Right?
It's actually beautiful to see an actual medical doctor working this way.
Yeah.
So it's such a refreshing way of looking at health and wellness.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
this interview, by the way, I came into this knowing nothing about you, and I was told from several people that I was going to be blown away, and you are not disappointing. This is really, really so
I feel like we
interesting.
haven't even started to talk about things.
Well, I guess that means there's going to be a part 2.
Yeah, maybe yes. Yeah.
So the integrated, you seem to be on the precipice of something that's really big.
Yeah, and then
right
I do
now.
Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine.
Again, it all comes down to energy. Like
Yes.
Tesla and Einstein, everything is energy.
Yes, yeah. And now I'm currently doing a specialization on frequency medicine, and it's blowing my mind.
Well,
There's
interesting.
so many
I
things
have
that we
to
know
tell you.
now.
So I have this company, which I'm so glad you're here, but it's called Naad Pods.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're a chakra realignment system. And it's done through the suffragio frequencies.
Yes.
So you put this pod on any chakra that you feel is stuck.
Yeah.
And you are actually sending that frequency directly into your chakra and realigning it.
Nice. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, right? Do you
Yeah.
think it's cool?
I think it's really cool.
Good.
And one thing
So
that's
many
very
people don't
interesting
get
is
it.
that the sound, people don't think of it this way because we're very kind of compartmentalized. Sound we associate as waves coming into my ear and then translated into the brain and then
As opposed to vibration?
as opposed to sound directly entering
Of
the
course.
skin
Yeah.
through the medium of the primarily the water environment inside of the body. And so sound is actually much better to if we do a healing
It's
sound.
reconfiguring your cells.
Yes, the sound and your sound. Every time there's a sound, which actually is, it's electrons vibrating in an atom,
Right.
creating a magnetic field around the atom, and then magnetic bubbles bouncing against each other, hitting each other, and that movement of magnetic friction creates sound. And so sound is vibratory movement of electrons in any medium.
Yes, correct.
Nothing to do with the ear. I mean,
no, it's matter.
beyond the
We're
ear.
talking about matter.
Yeah, and then every time there's a sound, there's a light, infrared
Correct.
emission of light. So
So
light,
certain sound frequencies
electromagnetism,
correlate with
the particular infrared
color.
color frequency that is emitted, the pattern is exactly as the sound. The sound, for example, the sound of the sun, the waves of the sun, you can actually make a depiction of it.
This is why my podcast is called In the Naad. The Naad is the universal frequency. So it's funny because we speak the same language. We just have different practices attached to it. Do you know what I mean? But
absolutely.
it's very similar.
Yes, yeah. That's why I like, I never really practice other disciplines besides, in my discipline, there's also a huge body of movements, like, asanas or like in Kundalini. But I enjoy Kundalini movements because they are very similar. I can understand the energetic framework very well.
Of course. And it's also that a family you can sort of slip into effortlessly. Like you have your California family, right? You have your spiritual family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very thankful.
And it's a lot of it has to do with initiation.
What do you mean by that?
How you become a part of something. Like what you're letting go to open up into this new family and a new belief system.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when we start something, I have this feeling that we cast a line of intent or intentionality about that, and you kind of recruit a component of yourself into this, and usually it's a percentage. Sometimes minor.
Doesn't matter. You have to keep casting. It's like fly fishing.
The more you cast,
the more you're lucky to catch something.
The more you're gonna reach.
Yeah.
So I think that the heart comes into play there a lot. The more percentage of the heart we involve in something, the more reach the action will have.
I'm also starting to learn that I don't have to be so stuck on the specifics of my practice. I can dive into all of them. And I think that creates a broader understanding. And actually, I'm bringing it all into me. So I feel that some people really like to say, well, this is my practice and I won't reach outside of it. Well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not bring in the beauty of all, the teachings of all? They all serve a purpose. And they're all very similar in their own way. So I've learned that Kundalini isn't the only expression for me.
Of course, yeah.
I'm really excited and turned on and ecstatic about all of them.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a golden era for knowledge. I mean, the world is really, at the same time, completely fucked up. But at the same time, it's an amazing moment.
Well, maybe it's the storm before the calm.
Yeah, well, it's part of the whole thing, right? When things are moving
the Big
fast,
Bang.
intensely, there's all in all directions. I think, there was something about, for example, you had originally, or you have a body of depth in Kundalini, right? And then the depth in that anchors you to then expand your branches into other knowledges.
Yeah.
But having that base I think is
I
important.
do think the expansion is key, though.
Yes.
I really do. And this is new for me.
Yeah. The expansion is key. And it in order to allow the expansion to take place harmoniously and that root is important. If you bypass that and you directly go to the diversity, it may work, but it's also it's a lot of movement. So I found, for example, that having been this one path, I really went deep into it. With that solidity, then I can emerge and multiple arms in all directions and feed because I have a base, right?
Well, I guess for me,
it depends the person.
Even in an unknowing way, I guess Catholicism was my anchor. Right? Without even knowing. I was raised in a Catholic family, and then through that, I became connected to Kundalini. It seemed a little bit more advanced. It seemed a little bit more...
Yeah. So you have your root came from the Catholic.
It has to come from something.
And then...
But no, it doesn't necessarily have to come from something. Some people, they just have awakenings. I think Alan was telling me that he had a friend who was on a bus. She wasn't spiritual, she wasn't religious, and she was on a bus and she had an awakening.
Absolutely.
That's again a gift.
Yeah, I think in terms of energy, things can move. This is what I learned from Castaneda. Things can move step by step, a little bit at a time, and then you kind of work your perception to a new place, or it can jump. Sometimes
either way, you look behind and you realize, wow, I've come a long way, baby. I've come a long way, baby. Yeah. And then when I was having, had some setbacks this week. And I realized, yes, they were setbacks. But 10 years ago, how much more they would have set me back.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
And sometimes you look and you're like, well, I haven't come as far as that. Well, yeah, I have. Yeah, I would. I'm not in a 5-week funk. It's a one day or a couple of hours, but then boom.
That is huge, Taylor.
It's a huge understanding of oneself.
It takes a lot of energy to get up fast. Sometimes I would call Castaneda, right? And he would say, Caballero. He would call me like that. I fell. Oh my God. And so he would tell me something that bombed or broke. And then half an hour later, he would call me, how is everything going? So he was completely gone from it, right? And he would say things like, when I fucked up, right? He said, don't worry, go and taste the mud, taste the soil, just don't stay there too long.
God, I love these expressions. They're so poetic and beautiful.
Yeah, he would say, the art is not avoiding the fall. Forget it, he said. We fall all the time. The art is how fast we get up.
Wow.
That's the ticket.
This stuff is really turning me on. It's really turning me on emotionally, and I can feel it in my body. Like, I want this knowledge. It's really beautiful.
You know what? The principles of what I like with this tradition is this: it's the foundation is not moral or sociological or religious. It's functionality. Functionality is so it has a. How can you align with energy to understand the fall, how it moves, and track it behind, and then if things are happening, you're with the happening. So functionality is a really good reference point. Is it working? Is it not working? Yeah. Is it flowing? Is it not flowing? Is your impact good? Is it elevating, or is it stagnating?
Because life is going to keep lifing.
Yeah.
Right, and learning the functionality of navigation. Yes. Is the greatest gift we can have.
Yes.
And again, it goes back to, the flow, lack of resistance.
I often do a practice with my patients where I help them to design an energy accounting system. Like becoming accountants, like we have
where are you where's the deficit and where are you
energy-wise
putting it out? Yeah, absolutely.
Because then it puts us into the attention of cultivating my energy.
Genius.
At any given moment is my fuel. If without energy, I cannot show up to life. So what things that take me the energy? And so if we fall emotionally, we're stuck, the energy goes down, right? Completely. And so if you're going to be days, ruminating about this thing that didn't work, and then she wronged me, and I'm, pissed off, and I want to then I'm in a low energy state all that time, right? As long as we're down, right? So the functionality says, get up, get your energy up, tune in, movement, my goodness.
Move and breathe.
Everything has to be, physical form is about movement and breathing. Right? In dreaming, there's no breathing. Like in abstract, like at night, we can do things without breathing. There's no gravity and there's no breathing.
It's autonomical, right?
The physical form has gravity and breath. Dreaming world doesn't have those two things. So in the one hand you can do a lot of things, but then when you have to translate into the physical side, you need to account for energy.
So you do talk about dreams a lot. I'm assuming it's a part of the practice.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of lucid dreaming and working with the dream state?
Everything is about lucid dreaming because you know what? Dreaming is not only what happens when we fall asleep. That's the differential. Dreaming is life. We are in a dream.
We're in a dream state.
We're in a dream. The only question is the dream conscious or unconscious? And what are you dreaming? I mean, is it a nightmare or is it an amazing dream? But
can you decide? You're not driving that car, right?
We're not in control of things, but we can position ourselves at the point of becoming. And the point where things are... there's an image that I love that the tradition has, is that the point of the perceiver is to be in the front of the train, where your life is coming onto you. At the moment it's coming to you. If you go to the passenger, to the dining cart, to the sleeping cart, you miss out. If you go to the back and you're looking behind how the life goes, you are always, melancholic and wishing for the best. Come to the front where life is happening and be ready to receive it, right? So this train is not like other trains because it has no tracks. So you're in this front of the train as things are coming onto you and there's no tracks. You have to be present. Otherwise you'll crash. Right?
Absolutely beautiful.
So what do I need to do to make it go to the front of the train? Like for example, when my teacher was like a rule. He will never tell you, you need to do this or this is important. Never, right? He was like, Caballero, are you busy? Do you have a moment? If you said, yeah, I'm having lunch, but can I call you in 10? I'm just finishing, right? Of course, Caballero. Then you called him in 10 minutes. He was not.
He was unavailable
he left.
to you, right?
That left. Opportunity.
The train left the station.
I was in the dining car. I missed out. He's telling me, come to the front of the train. Look, I'm busy. I'm eating.
And he's doing that on purpose.
Of course,
right?
He's testing you.
Right, he's testing you
to see how available. How are you? Are you stiff? You have ideas. You have your comfort, right? He says, look, Caballero, once you meet out there, it's no joke. It'll crush you. You need to have, he was like, guts of steel to face the unknown. So if you're like trying to eat and be comfortable, sure, but that's not going to help you out there. You're going to be crushed in a second, right? So you need to hone yourself, the onslaughts of infinity.
So let me ask you something, and sort of closing up. I could talk to you all day long, but is he still with you? Do you carry him with you? Does he come to you?
That's a very good question. He...
because, as you know, I lost my teacher.
Yes.
I lost someone I loved dearly, and it was a different kind of a teaching.
Yeah.
But it's a huge loss in my life, and so I have to navigate without her.
Yeah.
And so she does come to me.
Yeah. I share with you my experience. Maybe it helps you. First off, like he was in this case, he was like my surrogate father, right? So very close. But the first 10 years after he died, easy. He was very easy to find, let's say, right? It was so much that I would say that he came to me as if it was that I became myself available to the channel where he was.
Yes.
And then I saw him.
Yes.
I came to him in a way.
I understand.
But I knew how to find him. It was easy to find him, let's say. After 10 years...
The channel opened. You allowed the channel
After
to
10
open.
years, it was like, it was like much more ratified. So at that point, and to the day, I would say that definitely if I am in the right place, I can find him. And I've had, countless...
You probably don't need him as much. You've probably become, right?
He's a presence, right?
He's a presence.
And then I have to like for example, I had an important decision a few years ago. I kind of cocooned, and I decided to do in the new year. I was going to stop doing no commit, no appointments, nothing. I was going to do a personal retreat, and for 48 hours, I clustered into my place, and I said I have to meet in a while. I need to meet him. So I prepare myself, and then I definitely met him, right? And he completely
set you straight.
Downloaded 100%.
Isn't that a gift?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Miles, you are spectacular, really. You are a wealth of information and knowledge, and I love the way you present. I love the way you speak. It's almost poetic.
Oh, thank you. I was excited. I was actually...
Can you
was speaking fast because...
it's great. No, it's great. And that works on a podcast.
Okay.
And by the way, I'll have you back many more times. I mean, I know where to find you. Can you tell our listeners how to find you?
Yeah. So website, energylifesciences.com, and there's a lot of info there. I do a lot of events. I have an international practice, so I do a lot of patients from Europe and South America. So I travel. I do also Zoom. So and then my phone number for the office is 310-231-3500. 231-3500.
I can tell you this right now. I'm going to become your first patient from this podcast.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm really looking forward to working with you.
Nice. And I'm doing a new specialty, a specialization in facial and rejuvenation.
Oh, beautiful.
So for the face, for wellness and longevity. So it's such an amazing moment for longevity. Longevity,
Oh, it really
wellness,
is.
and cosmetic, all interfacing into one.
Right.
So, we're in a new
And
time.
practice and breath work, because that keeps you looking young too, as
Totally.
we know, right? It suspends.
Well, it's part of the longevity and the wellness, right?
Exactly.
You have to have a context of spirit, a lot of breath work, a lot of movement.
Like, this is great.
Energy is food, and sleep, and all the basics, for sure.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Satnam.
Yeah, Satnam.